Hey everybody, this is Matt Hsu from Upright Health, and I'm here today with Josh, and we're at Empowerment Fitness in Menlo Park looking at different ways that the squat can show you what's going wrong in your body. So a couple weeks ago I had somebody in Russia whose name I can't read ask me to do a video about how to figure out whether or not you have muscle imbalances. And using this body weight squat, you can find a lot of muscular imbalances and help yourself move better just by observing this simple motion. So what we're going to have Josh do today is just a simple body weight squat. So he's going to have his feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart and in a comfortable position. We don't want his feet splayed all the way out, just more or less parallel. They can be out about 10 degrees if you feel like that's a little more comfortable. We're going to have him do the squat, and on Josh, go ahead and do it the way you normally do it, which is picture perfect. He goes up and down, real smooth. Can you do that nice and slow so people can see how amazing your squat is? So you can see he doesn't really shift side to side. Everything is right up and down. If you turn and face that way, do that same squat. You can see he maintains a pretty upright torso. He's using his butt muscles. You probably can't see it. Josh, turn and face that way. Everybody take a look at what's going on with his butt. His butt muscles are actually working. Even at the top, they're squeezed. He goes down, he comes back up, boom, his butt muscles are on, so no problem. But where things go wrong, and this is where we start looking at your body, is where we start seeing things like lateral shifts. So today we're going to look at a lateral shift and talk about ways we can work to correct a lateral shift. So Josh, can you show us what a lateral shift looks like? Yeah, boom. So one more time, let's take a look. So you can see Josh is kind of moving over to his right leg, right? So his pelvis keeps moving to the right. Can you turn so your back's to the camera so people can see this? So again, he's going to shift over to the right. So when you see somebody doing that, what you need to be looking at is the relationship between the muscles of the hip, right, on both sides. So Josh, when you go, can you do that same shift again, lateral shift to the right? So when he's going over to this direction, there's three major things that I look at in terms of correcting, okay? So the first thing I'm looking at is if Josh is shifting over this way, the first thing I'm going to be thinking about is whether or not the abductors on the right-hand side are strong enough to push him back over to his left, right? So if he's coming over this way, his hip is adducting, which means the abductors are probably not doing their jobs very well. The second thing that could be happening, and they can happen all together, the second thing that I might be looking at is whether the adductors are over-engaged, whether they're working too much or they're not able to relax enough to allow proper range of motion. So that if that pulls the hip joint into adduction, again, he's going to get that lateral shift to his right. The other thing that happens a lot is, I was going to say three things, but there's a fourth thing I just thought of. So the third thing that people will think about a lot is actually the abductors on the left-hand side pushing too much, right? Being so strong that they're pushing you out over to the right. If that's happening, right, then we need to try to down-regulate the activity here, mash a little bit here and get that to calm down. The fourth thing that tends to get overlooked is weakness in that left hip extensor, so your glute max. If that's not strong enough to take your weight as you're coming down, what's going to happen? Right? You're going to try to avoid that hip extensor and shift your weight onto the other side. So Josh, one more time, can you show everybody
the shift?
Your wonky little shift?
All right. Good.
So, again, boom. So think again about those relationships. When Josh comes down, you think abductors on that side not being strong enough to push him this way, right? And then come back up. When he comes down again, you think these adductors might be a little bit too tight and pulling him over that direction. And then when you come down again, you could think abductors might be pushing his pelvis over to his right. And then the final thing is the hip extensors are not strong enough to actually catch the load, to actually bear the load as he's going down. So he's got to shift to his right side to be able to handle that motion. So we're going to look at those things. We're going to try to go through a couple of corrective exercises that you can do to help address each one of those. All right, so what we're going to do right now is try to address that first thing that we just talked about. So if Josh has weak abductors on his right hip, then what we want to do is try to kick those in a little bit more because the abductors just don't get that much training very often, so we want to try to get that in there. You could use the perv machine or the yes-no machine at the gym where you're splitting your legs apart, but yeah, you just don't really want to do that. So what we're going to have Josh do here is lie just flat on your side. So you've got your hips and shoulders all in alignment. You're going to bring the knees forward a little bit. So you have about a 135-degree bend here at the hips. Okay, looks like Josh is ready to go to sleep. You just tuck the arm right here under the head. Boom, he's out. So go ahead and straighten this knee just so the leg is straight out on top. Yep, so now you have your thighs together. Okay, pull the toes back, and you're just going to have the knee rotated so that it's parallel to the floor. Okay. When you're doing this, you don't want to have the knee pointing down because then you start kicking in the wrong muscles, but basically having the knee parallel will pretty much guarantee that we get what we want. So you've got everything nice and tight here, keeping the hips right where they are, and then you're going to bring this leg up. So it's just going to be like a little Jane Fonda move. Yep, and then back down. Go back up. And this looks like a very easy exercise for Josh. It's probably not too bad. But you know, I've had guys who could easily snap me in half and eat me for breakfast, try to do this and not be able to raise this more than a couple inches. It could be you. Try it and see what you notice. Now, Josh's mobility looks pretty good. Feel like a challenge at all at this point?
Yeah, no, it's a little bit challenging.
Yeah. And can you show everyone where you actually feel this?
Right throughout here.
Yeah. So you're getting a little bit of IT band, but also getting glute max and glute medius to help you with that abduction, and also with a little bit of that external rotation as it comes up. Okay, so then once it's tired, what you're going to do is make things even worse, right? We want to make things even more challenging. So then we're going to flex the hips to 90 degrees. So go ahead and bring your knees up closer here. Yep. And then go ahead and extend the leg out there. And now you're going to lift that leg up. Right? Okay, so Josh just showed us a little bit of a cheat. So let's keep you totally lined up here, and then you're just going to lift that leg right up. Yeah, not letting the pelvis roll back. Right? So you're just keeping that pelvis right there. I'm going to fix your shirt there for you, buddy, and then right back up. So how does that one feel compared to the other one?
This one's a lot harder.
Yeah.
A lot more challenging.
A lot more challenging. So normally when we're in a hips flex position, we're sitting and we're just crushing our butts, watching TV or reading posts on Facebook. So when you now put your hips into a flex position and then ask for adduction, you're going to really feel like your muscles are not happy. Yeah, right in there. When you get up after doing this exercise, you're going to feel blood rushing to that area. It's going to change the way you walk. And as you do this more and more, you're going to notice it change the way your squat feels. So that's the first thing we can do to start helping with a lateral shift in your squat. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is tight adductors on the side that Josh is shifting towards. So if Josh was shifting over to his right side, we're going to want to be looking at the adductors on the right side. So Josh, let's show everybody the horsey foam rolling for your adductors. So Josh is just going to be straddling this foam roller, and he's just going to be working basically from the bottom of his pelvis all the way down towards the knee, looking for any gnarly bits of fun that he finds in there. He can come right up against the bone. You can feel the sits bones up the pelvis. Just make sure you don't crush your family jewels while you're up in there. Your parents will be mad.
Girlfriend too.
Girlfriend will be really, really angry. Yeah, you can go up even higher, Josh. Even higher.
Higher this way?
Yep, higher that way. Right up in there. So
Ooh,
usually right up
pushing
near,
it.
Yeah. So right near that attachment point, you're going to find there's a lot of gnarly bits up in there. What you can do then to make this even more fun is Josh can go ahead and take this leg right under the plyo box here. And you just lean over, give you some space. And you can come right into the adductors with a foam roller and just smash the crap out of everything in there. Again, you want to go up nice and high to make sure you're getting into the high adductors to make sure that those aren't fouling up not only just the motion, but also fouling up your ability to recruit your butt muscles, right? So if your inner thigh muscles are over-facilitated, they're going to downregulate the activity of your hip abductors, which is going to make it more difficult for you to, again, make the movement correct. Okay, feel great?
Feels good, wow.
All right. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at, number 3, is that tight abductor complex over there on the left hip. So again, remember Josh is shifting to his right, so we're looking at the abductors on his left side. So what I've got Josh doing is sitting on a foam roller. He's got his leg crossed over, so one ankle over the other knee, so you can really dig into all the fun stuff in there. So some piriformis is going to be in there. The 6 deep lateral rotators, or the other 5 deep lateral rotators whose names you don't care about, but you can look up if you'd like to. One of them is named Gemellus, inferior and superior. Just, you know this stuff, but I'm not going to bore you. All right, so Josh is just going to be smashing all up in there. When he wants to get a little bit more fun, he can also take this knee and bring it over towards his chest. You can have his friend push it, he can get in there, kind of tilt a little bit more to roll all along that glute. Glute max, you can roll all along glute med, even get a tiny smidge of IT band while he's up in there if you'd like. When you want to get really fun with this, you can grab a lacrosse ball, stick it on the floor, and jam it right into the same areas. And you can tell from the smile on Josh's face that this is a very pleasurable activity, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Fun stuff.
This is great stuff. So he really digs in there with a lacrosse ball, and he'll get a lot of good release from using a lacrosse ball. Foam roller works pretty well, and if you've never done anything to try to help release this stuff, I would definitely start with a foam roller. Do not jump straight into the lacrosse ball, because it's pretty painful. The other thing Josh can do is he can go ahead and let that go and then lie back, just keeping that there. You can play with different angles, so you just let your upper body down so his torso is down, but you can still keep the ball in there. Yeah, you can do that. You can roll into it. So you change the hip angle, you will change the things you can access. So if Josh has his leg like this, he's going to get some different sensations, find some different tight spots that will give in once he's smashed them enough. Okay, so the final thing we're going to look at is that left hip, the left hip extensors being a little bit too weak, so we want to try to wake those up a little bit more. So what I'm going to have you do, Josh, you're going to get into a standard bridge position. You got your knees bent, you got your feet nice and about hips width apart, and I want to have your palms face up. Yeah. So the reason I ask you to do that is to help keep your shoulders neutral. When you have your palms rotated down flat on the floor, you'll tend to be rounding the shoulder blades this way, right? Which you do anyway, you're doing it right now watching this, so you don't need any help doing that, so we want to give you a little bit of the opposite stimulus. Now, once Josh is in the bridge position, make sure your thighs are parallel to each other. Instead of splayed out, yep, there we go. What you're going to do is, for his left hip, we're going to lift his right leg, so just so the right foot's off the floor, and he's going to bridge up. Yep, he's got his abdominals engaged. He's not using his lower back and arching it to bring himself up. He's using his left butt cheek to push himself up off the floor, and then he comes slowly back down. And same thing again, lifting up. That left butt cheek is nice and engaged, and then slowly coming back down. And it's really important to pay attention to the butt muscle doing this, and not your back, not your quads, not your hamstrings doing this. For some people, you may feel like the hamstrings are kicking in too much or the quads are kicking in, then you need to adjust your foot position. So for example, if your foot's, bring your left foot in real tight to your butt. Yep, like that. And then lift this leg up. So if Josh comes up like this and tries to do his bridge, he can probably do it easier because now he can start using, right into his thighs. So if you feel your thighs are working too much, then you need to push that foot out. Now if you walk it even further out, now if he's way out here and he tries to bridge up,
I bet we can probably get like 5 to 10 reps before your hamstring. Yeah, so hamstring's gonna cramp up and that's not gonna feel good either. So we wanna find that sweet spot and then make sure we're doing the bridges as you're doing them, depending on your fitness level. You may feel it very quickly in the left butt cheek, or you may feel it after 10, 15 reps. If you don't feel it at all and you can do it all day, then you're already pretty good there. You gotta look for some other issue to address, because if you can do that 15 times, this is way too easy for you. Sorry, if you can do this like 150 times, this is way too easy for you. 15 times, I would basically do 2 to 3 sets of 15 to just wake up those hip extensors and get them going. This is just to help smooth out the motion. I would then start looking at other stronger exercises to help you really wake up those hip extensors.
All right, so that's it for cleaning up your lateral shift in your squats. I'm Matt Hsu from Upright Health, here with Josh Hash at Empowerment Fitness in Menlo Park, reminding you that pain sucks. Life should.